Okay, you built the business, but somehow it built a life you actually don't want, Leslie.
Did
Like,
it?
like what the F is going on here? All I'm doing is I'm
Yeah.
working harder and harder. That's not why I built a business. Hey,
Yeah.
welcome
Too many people.
to
Yeah. Go
I'm
ahead.
sorry. Welcome to today's podcast, Twisted Ben and Exhausted Entrepreneur Podcast. I think, if you're not in this mode, it's either coming. Oh, but wait a minute. We can stop it today if you learn the tricks to overcome that. I'm Jeff Harrison with Swing Point Media, along with my co-host.
Leslie Spoor with Concierge Business Solutions.
Hey, Leslie, what's going
Hey.
on?
Oh, this is a story that's old as time.
I'm just going to put it up there. You built the business, but somehow it built a life you don't want. You're just like, I've got 2 phones, and I've got text messages, and I've got 3, virtual assistants, and it's like it's nonstop. What's going on?
Well, what happens is, and again, this is one of those situations like we talked about last time, where sometimes you just fall into this. You're all starry-eyed and ready to build. I mean, I can imagine back to 15 years ago, if you can think about it, about all excited to start your business, and you're creating all the marketing collateral, and you're talking to people, and you're going to mixers, and you're excited, and you want to get business, and you get out there and you're doing stuff, and then somewhere along the line, say you survive the first 2 years, which is the trick, right? You get past that. Somewhere along the line, you get where all of a sudden you're kind of in a prison.
Yeah.
Or using my puzzle metaphor, you're stuck in the middle of this puzzle. You got all those outside lines built because they're the flat pieces and super easy, right? And then you find yourself stuck in the middle and you don't know how to fill it in or get out of it. It's it's quite a challenge for a lot of people trying to figure out how to work on their business instead of in it. And it can be quite disheartening to realize that what you thought you built this for autonomy and independence, and you're to be in charge of your own destiny and make your own money, right? And all of a sudden you find that it's just drudgery day after day after day. It's the same old thing. And it can get quite exhausting and disappointing. And some people fall into a business depression too,
Yeah.
And so it's a bad place to be when you realize that you built this thing that's like an octopus, and it's got its tentacles wrapped around you and you can't get away.
Well, I was speaking to a friend of mine last week who has built a business, and he said something. I'm like, do I say congratulations or oh crap?
I'm so sorry.
he said, he said, all of a sudden I wake up, I've got 35 employees I'm responsible for.
That's a sobering thing.
And I'm like, wow. And I said, like, well, what do you mean? He said, well, now 35 families of those employees now depend on me. I said, what do you mean? He said, my business. He said, for my business needs to be successful or they could lose their income. And I said,
yeah.
Wow, I guess I hadn't thought about it like that. I said, it's not like it's a milestone that you like reach the summit of Mount Kilimanjaro. It's like, holy crap, look at all the responsibility and the payroll and, insurance and cars and stuff. All of a sudden it's like, is that really what you meant to grow when you started? Because I mean, we think about people, and this may be a different conversation, Leslie, but sometimes we think about people who started their entrepreneurial journey because they love to bake cookies.
Yeah,
and now all they do is freaking bake cookies to the point they hate cookies, right?
That happened to my daughter with cupcakes, actually.
Exactly.
She makes great, amazing cupcakes, and they're beautiful. She really knows how to decorate them and make them look like. She has one that's it's called Father's Day cupcake that has a whole Reese's peanut butter cup in the bottom.
Oh man!
And then chocolate cake, and then peanut butter cream cheese frosting. Wow. It is to die for. But she made all these cupcakes, and she started this business, and the business went really well, but she hates the people side of it. And she won't charge what they're worth.
Yeah.
trying to get her to charge $36 a dozen was a chore. And that's only $3 a cupcake. And there's so much work in them,
Yeah.
And so she got where she hated making cupcakes. Sometimes she wouldn't even do it for family birthdays. She just burned herself out on them. And that happens so much when somebody tries to turn a hobby into a business. It's
Well,
really hard.
the other part about that, Leslie, too, is like you saw a problem and you created a solution. And I think that often is a different mindset. That's an entrepreneurial mindset that all of a sudden, you say, well, I found a solution for X and I'm going to go do that. And then the love for that is gone because now you're no longer solving a problem. You're actually doing the bookwork and the payroll and the HR and the taxes and the insurance. And all of a sudden, the fun of what you wanted to discover is gone. Is that it? And I put up here, that's an emotional side really no one talks about. We see that, hey, now they've got a bigger building. And I think about here locally, and I'm not, this is not a negative against, but I think about Renova Solar.
Oh my goodness, that's a sad story.
There's a business that the owners had done a great job for so long, and then they went from this size building to a massive building, and then next thing you know, they're out of business, and it's beyond their control. And I've seen it so many times especially with a dear friend of ours that had a restaurant, and it was called Omri and Bonnie's. And we loved Omri and Bonnie's. It used to be down by Las Consuelas on High 111, is in a small little restaurant. And I don't know, there were probably 12 tables in there. And it was on plastic, but the food was phenomenal. Omri was such a great cook. And Bonnie was like, you've got an hour to eat because I got to turn the tables. Well, then they built a big one out here in La Quinta that was a massive building. And, a couple of years later, they're out of business. And it breaks my heart. This was one of those things that's like, wow, they're exhausted, and why that success is really not the one they were thinking of.
Yeah, it's sobering when you start hiring employees. A lot of people don't want employees. They want to stay what we call a one bucket shop as long as possible, because adding the responsibility for employees and payroll and all, especially in California, all the rules and requirements that are necessary to run a business here are it's intimidating and scary. And the rule is, if you tell people where to go and what to do and how to do it, they're employees. You can't use subcontractors for that. And California in particular has gotten very, very strict. You have to report if you hire subcontractors. To me, it's not worth it. I'll just pay the extra taxes and be done with it.
Yeah.
But it is, that hit me about 10 years in, I think, that because I hired somebody when I first started, as you know, and I didn't really, I think that first person, was she an employee or not? I don't remember, but I know that if she wasn't, it wasn't long before I had employees. And it's a sobering thing to think I'm responsible. If I don't go out and work and bring in new business, these people are not going to stay because there won't be enough to do.
Yeah.
And we've had a couple of times, a few steps forward, a few steps back. We expand a little bit, and then our overhead gets too high, and then we have to expand, move back, or the economy takes a nosedive, or COVID hits, or whatever happens. You have to be able to roll with that and adapt to it. Too many times I've seen people just throw in the towel instead of trying to overcome the adversity that we all face eventually. What's the worst you've ever had? I mean, because most of your employees are virtual. So what's the worst it's ever been for you in that regard about the emotional side of the business?
Yeah, for me, it's not so much the employees, it's the idea of, hey, I built a business, and the more clients we take on, the more people I really have to what is it? I have to report to.
Mm-hmm.
And so you go from having, your spouse as your direct report to now all of a sudden, depending on how many clients you have 20 people. Now every time, there's 20 different people asking you to do something. And even, in between, we were recording a couple of shows today. Even between that, I got a call from one of my new clients, and they had this idea that they need to put it out, in a short order. And I'm like, okay, that's outside the scope of what we normally do. So do I charge them more for that or tell them no? And so I think for me, it's not so much the staffing issues, because as you say, most of my staff, they work from around the world through a company called Upwork. And so they're not employees, but all of them, with the exception of one new person I brought aboard about a month ago, they've all been with me for years as far as being able to do the work. And that part has been the easy part. The tough part has been, for me, is saying, okay, what are your expectations? Let me do that, and let me just go about my business. And I think it's those extra calls, the extra emails. Those are the part that sometimes I'm challenged with. And in our last show, if you didn't hear that, Leslie challenged me. She said, through conversation, you said, let's get Mia in the middle there. She's that layer. And that's what as we're talking about this episode today, I'm thinking, I just need to put the right layers in place so that I can still do what I love to do.
Right. And that's a key
Does that make
thing.
sense?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a key. In the beginning, we all do everything because we have to. It's just us usually. And most people start out working in the business. They're the client interface. They're handling time cards and payroll. I mean, they're doing everything themselves, all the reporting to the client. If it's a retail, they're doing all the bank deposits and the cash register reconciliations. And, you're doing everything, marketing, networking, social media, you're doing it all. And there's some of those things. Nobody's good at all of those things. I mean, I consider myself pretty capable, but there are things that we absolutely don't like. Yeah. There are certain things like I've told this story so many times, it's probably boring, but I hate doing the bookkeeping part of this business. I'm good at it. I'm detail oriented. My accountant always says I have the cleanest books of anybody they've ever met. It's very good, but I hate it. Yeah. So I have somebody else who does it now that is required to keep them as neat as I do. Because I don't want to yes, I don't want to do that. I just don't. It's not fun for me. You should keep the things that are fun and the things that let you feel creative, right? And then delegate the rest of it or stop it.
Well, let me ask you this. What if all of a sudden, and I think this is more for an advanced owner or entrepreneur, what if every day you start waking up and there are no fun parts?
Well, that happens too. Every small business owner, I don't know if it happens to big ones because I only work with small ones, but every small business owner's hit a wall at about 2 years, and then every 2 or 3 years after that. And that's where you go, what the F was I thinking to start this business? I could be working for somebody and it'd be so much easier. I'd go in, do my job, go home and just collect that paycheck, right? They pay the taxes, they handle it. I don't have to do anything, no responsibility. Unfortunately, for entrepreneur mindset people like we are, that lasts about 2 minutes and then we're trying to run everything, right? We're trying to make the decisions and we're working for idiots and because we know more than they do. And, and we're too independent.
We're unemployable.
We're unemployable to work a W-2 job, right? Yeah. I've thought about it many times. I'm like, why am I had $150,000 a year income when I quit my aerospace consulting job 20 years ago.
Wow.
That was a good paying job.
Yeah.
Right?
Hello.
20 years ago. And I worked for a consulting company. So they went out and got the business for me. I just went where they told me, right? I had great benefits and I quit it all to start my own business. What a sucker I am.
Were you drinking a lot during that time?
No, but I felt compelled to start my own. And I had a lot of autonomy and independence as a consultant because And the cool part about that is you go into a company and you get the honeymoon period, right? There's no politics. They hired you because you're smart. They expect you to come in and help them. So they listen to you.
Yeah.
And about the time the politics kick in and they stop listening to you, you're done with the job and you can go someplace else. That's what I love about being a consultant.
Thanks. No, you're moving on, baby.
That's right. See ya. But I wanted to do something myself just because I wanted to do it. And I'm super proud of being 20 years later and still being successful or being successful after 20 years, and for the people who work for me and the vendors that I employ. You know, that's a huge accomplishment, but there's still every so often I get this, what the hell was I thinking? Why didn't I just keep with, I mean, I could be making 300,000 a year by now.
If
You know,
not
I am not
more.
making that much now. Yeah, probably more. I mean, I'm pretty
Not
good
to
at
put more salt in the wound or anything, but yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I get it. But you know, we all hit that wall, all of us as any business owner, we all hit the wall. And I was thinking in the last podcast, you were talking about Jeff Bezos and stuff like that, and how if you exponentially if you look at our business, you've got how many employees? You have 20 or something?
20, yeah.
Yeah, I have like 6. Okay, after 20 years, I have 6.
I have to be careful. They're not employees, Leslie.
Yours aren't employees. I call everybody employees. Mine are
Okay,
employees.
all right. So we'll just use that. We use that term loosely.
I call all people who help you employees, whether they're subcontract labor or not. Where was I going with this? You have 20. Oh, that somebody like Bezos, who has this huge organization with, you know, thousands of employees, right? Or Facebook or any of those companies that has thousands of people. And you wonder if they hit that same wall. But he's on a yacht somewhere, so I doubt it. Yeah. But what I think is that they do create those layers, and they do have people to manage the people under them. So the only people he really needs to worry about is his board of directors or whoever is directly beneath him. And then beneath that group is other people that are responsible and sort of Christmas trees down, right?
I just have to throw something out here.
Sure.
I just looked up. It says as of early 2026, Amazon employs approximately, now watch this, 1.56 to 1.6 million people worldwide.
Wow. Really? I did not know.
Yowza.
Wow.
That's huge. Sorry, I didn't mean to get
so there's no way that he can know everybody's name when he walks through a factory or a distribution center. There's no way.
Yeah.
Right. He was really smart. Just as a side note, you know, he went and started. Have you ever read The 4-Hour Work Week?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So the guy starts out saying, I'm a drug dealer, right? Because he sells vitamins. And he was the first one I know of he became the window to the drug manufacturer, the vitamin manufacturer, right? And so the orders would come to him through his website, and they would go direct to the vitamin manufacturer who shipped direct to the consumer, right? So he was just a gateway. That's what Bezos has done. All those sellers on Amazon are small businesses or some are big businesses, but they're all through a window. Amazon themselves does not produce anything.
Nope.
Right.
And watch this, even Amazon, like as an example, because I speak from experience because I had a client that we helped become a 7-figure business on Amazon. And if a product comes back to Amazon and is damaged or it's not sent back to the manufacturer, then Amazon will take that and they'll sell it. And you've seen this is called Amazon. I think it's called Amazon. Just has a brown Amazon on there. In other words, it could have been yours, but we've damaged it or it got returned. We're going to sell it again. And so they do, but they don't manufacture any of their own stuff. You're right.
No. In fact, there's a bunch of these new pop-ups all around the desert and they're all over the country now, where there are outlets to sell excess from like
Oh, really?
Amazon returns.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh,
or at the post office, all the packages that never got picked up, they all get dumped in these places. People buy these by the pallet full, and then you get stuff for super, super cheap. There's one in La Quinta, not too far from you, and there's one in next to where Big Lots used to be in Cathedral City.
Cathedral City? Yeah.
Yeah, and they're different prices on different days. So one day of the week, everything in the shop is $1,
Oh my
and the
gosh.
highest day is 10. And I mean, I got a brand new, still in the box laminator for like $3.
Oh my
I mean,
God.
the stuff that's in there is really cool. And a lot of it is Amazon. So it's really
Uh,
fun,
uh,
but we digress. But anyway,
yeah.
so somebody in that big of a corporation does not know the names of the truck drivers. Generally, they don't know
Yeah.
them, right? Because
Yeah.
they're so far down the tree, you can't know a million people's names. For us, because we have a limited amount of people, we do know everybody we work with personally, and we know their families. I get way too involved with my employees. I had one employee once a long time ago who didn't have enough money for Thanksgiving, and so I took food over to his house, which is a terrible thing to do.
Mm,
It's kind, but it's not the right thing when you're the employer. It just isn't. I got yelled at by my HR people for that. So, we want to help them be successful. And so our heart bleeds too much, and we can't. You have to run a professional company. I hire a subcontract HR person. She's not full time with me because we don't have a
right.
need for that. But when I have a question or something, I go to her, and she told me to think about it like this: if it isn't helping them with their job, I should not be buying or doing anything for them
Okay.
because it's too personal, and it handicaps the employee too. So for us, when one of the traps that I fall into is my heart and trying to help people. I've bought printers for people. I bought a new TV for somebody whose TV died and they couldn't afford to get a new. I've done a lot of that kind of stuff that is not good for me or for them. Because they appreciate it at the time, but then they come to expect things.
Gotcha.
That is not a condition of employment.
Yeah.
So you have to really watch your heart and what responsibilities you're willing to take on when you run a business, because it's way too easy when you have a few people working for you to get too attached and too close and to say things that can hurt you in the long run. I've been really guilty of that. So you have to be careful, especially in this state. I always say, especially in California, because it's one of the most difficult places to do business. And the litigation here, the litigious nature of employees is very, very high. So if you say anything that can be misconstrued, you could end up in court. So you have to be aware of that.
I think about this whole idea of, we go into business. It's there is I'm turning a passion that I have into a business, or I've got a problem that I've solved. I'm turning it into a business. And I think of like somebody like an Elon Musk. Now, of course, he is the epitome of the top of the mountain, but somebody said something the other day, said, do you think he ever does something to make money? And the answer I heard them say is, I don't think so. It's no longer about money because he has all the money he needs. It's about, his whole thing is this massive transformative goal, right? Of getting us off planet and giving us energy and, going to Mars and, and that kind of thing. And it's not about the money, but I think at some point early on, he had to have thought it's about the money.
You should never think it's about the money. I teach people to forget about the money because, and it's kind of a oxymoron or a predicament of some kind, because generally people start businesses to make money. That's why they do it. Either they've been laid off, or they've got this, like me, they have this burning desire to do it, or whatever craziness that goes through my mind. And the thing is that if you help people, the money comes automatically. So all you have to do is help people. Elon is trying to help people through energy efficient cars. He's trying to help, and all of it is aimed at Mars, right? Because he needs electric cars on Mars. He needs robots on Mars. He needs rockets that can go there and come back. I mean, all of that, everything he's done is Mars related since he started this current company, not the one he sold, but this current one. For us, I wanted to help people enhance their living experience here in the desert and take care of their homes and give them peace of mind. And if you genuinely care about what you do and you're trying to help somebody, or you found a problem and are solving it, then the money comes. It just does. Same for you. You're doing digital marketing. When you help a company, they make more money. They can pay you more to help them. Right. So it just comes when you can make a difference in somebody's life. You shouldn't focus on the money. That is not why you should be in business.
Okay. I'm just going to.
Weird, huh?
No, I think you're right. It's like, you do something because you love it. It's not for the money. Like there was a period in my life where I was not in, the digital marketing agency. And there was a period where I did something only for the money because of how much money I could make. And it did solve some problems that I had, but it's like, what's that saying, is the bud was off the rose pretty quickly because there wasn't a burning passion. There wasn't a desire inside to do what I do. Like, if you watch the last show, you probably saw me light up like a little kid when we talked about all the AI stuff that we're doing. I love doing that stuff. It's a lot of fun. The challenge for me is when I do that, when the business owner or businesses don't see as much fun as I have and the possibilities that I see, that's the part that is a little disheartening for me. Or, what have you done for me lately? And I think when it comes to success, it feels worse than failure. I guess, hey, we've all probably had failures in our life, Leslie. And so is failure, it's not, I never look at it and say, I failed. What did I learn? What did I learn there?
I was just going to say that. Yeah. In business, I'm willing to walk off any cliff. I don't think twice. If I have an idea, just like you do with AI, if I have an idea, I'm going to go try it and step off that cliff and see what happens. If I crash and burn, then I'm like, okay, what did I learn from that? What could I have done differently? What's the universe trying to tell me? Because quite often there's a lesson in there somewhere, right? And then if you take that knowledge, and sometimes it takes a minute, by the way, to come to your consciousness and say, hey, this was it, right? But if you take that knowledge and then you make the modifications and then go a different direction, quite often you'll be successful. But failure is good. If you don't ever fail, you cannot grow. And I say, do you like that?
Well, I do. I do. I think it's one of those things. If you're not having some failure, you're probably not pushing the edge of the envelope. You're kind of taking the easy way. Mm-hmm. And when I say failure, and help me, you define it as you wish, but we say failure, I'm talking about not like, again, Renova Solo, like going out of business and 300 employees lose their job. I'm not talking about that kind of level I'm talking about, hey, I tried something, it didn't work. It didn't screw up my company, but what I learned from that, and all of a sudden, okay, that dog Cosmo that I made, it was animated and I made it talk the first time. The failure, if you will, was I used the wrong voice and the owner said, hey, it sounds like somebody is a smoker. I'm like, well, I didn't get that. Okay. So what I learned from that, and then I went back and tried another voice. Oh, it was too high of a pitch. It sounded like Mickey Mouse, he said. So now I was stuck, like, I don't know what I'm going to do. And that's when I learned how to design voices. And when I say learn, I'm talking about baby steps. So all that was failure, home run. Had I not had the opportunity to do it and fail, we wouldn't be talking about it, because I wouldn't have tried to say, hey, I'm just going to kick off for a couple of hours and see if I can animate a dog and turn it into a commercial. right?
I got two examples for you. You
Okay.
know
All
why
right.
Heinz 57 is called Heinz 57?
Well, I used to hear it all the time when I was a kid growing up. It's kind of a mutt, but
No,
go ahead.
Heinz 57 steak sauce or whatever it is.
Yep.
It
Yep.
was 56 versions of recipes before they got to the one they
Mm.
settled on.
Yes. Yes. Okay. Good.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the other example is, and we also have the one with the Edison inventing the light bulb. How many times, I forget the number of how many light bulbs he tried before he got it. But for me, I look at it in business as if I go to meet with somebody, say a potential client, and they don't say yes, then I'm thinking all the way home, okay, what could I have said instead?
Mm.
Right? Because that's the learning opportunity. That's how you learn to answer the objection. So when clients say no, it's not a personal rejection. It is a rejection of what you offered them. And so you need to reframe that offer to get a yes. And you could view that as a failure, but I don't. I look at it as, how do I learn how to answer the objection? And the only way to do that is to continually do presentations until you've come across every objection so that you can answer it.
Yeah.
You know, to me, those are not failures. Those are learning opportunities. You know, rejection is one of the biggest hurdles for people in business. And most of it's because their self-worth is tied up in their business, and it shouldn't be. I tell people all the time, you know, I think we've had this conversation a couple of times about, you know, remember when you wanted to really cut the price down on something because it took you less time to do it than it used to?
Yep.
But it's still your knowledge that got you to be able to be more efficient. Your clients don't know if you're efficient or not. They just see the value in what you're doing. And that's how people should look at that. And so it's the same, the rejection, people, I got sidetracked. The people's self-worth is tied up in their business, and it needs to be separate. Who you are as a person is one thing. Who you are as a business person is somebody else. And you need to separate those in your brain so that you can, I have to play a role. I'm an introvert, but I play an extrovert on TV, right? When I'm out marketing and networking, I'm an extrovert, but I really am not. So you have to separate them in your mind. This is me personally, this is me in business. And then the only rejection that I allow myself to have, you know, it's not fear of speaking, it's not fear or any fear of having, it's not fear of talking to people or any of that. It's the fear of quitting too soon.
Yeah.
Right? Because if we give up too soon, the success could have been right around the corner. And you
could have been a Heinz 56.
Yeah. How would you feel though if you quit and then you found out that just one more person could have brought you the success that you craved?
Yeah, you couldn't live with yourself.
Yeah. It's like Dan has a bunch of dinar. Do you know what dinar is?
Mm-mm.
It's Iraqi.
Isn't it? Yeah.
It's Iraqi money. And because of their inflation stuff over the years, when he bought this 30 years ago, it was super, super cheap. He got tons of it, millions of dinar. I keep saying, when are you going to sell it? Well, he's probably got, at today's market, he probably has about $10,000 total overall, millions of dinar that he has. But he keeps thinking that if he sells it and then it goes up, he will not be able to live with himself. So he's probably going to die with that dinar.
He's going to be buried with it.
Yeah, because he's so afraid that he'll miss the window, you know? And that's business owners succumb to that all the time. Has there ever been a time where you felt like, I want to quit, or I know you went through a really bad time when you were a real estate investor and when the housing market crashed? I know that was a really bad time. A lot of people Dan went through that too. But other than that, can you think of a time in this current thing where you thought about throwing in the towel?
Well, I think there was a time when my first business partner and dear friend Amy, we started the business together, And then when she got sick and she had to leave the business because we had divided the things that we did. I was the face of the business and she was behind the scenes, and she did what she did. I did what I did. And all of a sudden I'm like, geez, I don't really know if I want to take that role on. And there was a brief moment where I thought, well, I'll just do this myself. Or excuse me, I will leave this because I don't want to do it by myself. And after some soul searching, I decided, you know what? I'll figure it out. And that's what I did. So yeah, that was the time, is when Amy passed away.
See, I wanted to throw in the towel a couple of weeks ago. I've only been in business 20
I could have
years.
just found the damn towel. I'd have thrown
That's
it in.
right. White flag. Because I had 2 people quit on the same day, which then forced me to have to do more work than I like to do, and to do pieces of the business I trained other people to do, but I was forced to have to do them. And I thought, I just don't want to do this. I really don't. And then, you helped reframe my thinking, and my daughter helped me reframe my thinking. She used to work for me, and so she helped me. And you're both right. The unique opportunity in this is that by having to work in the business, I may identify improvements or new avenues for the business that I had not contemplated because I've been out of it for so long.
Point.
And so, and you don't think about that. Initially, you're like, oh, crap, and then you go, well, okay, I got to do it. So now what? And I'm not a negative person, as you know. I'm generally pretty positive, but sometimes you have to remind me to be positive, because when it comes to business, I hit that wall way too often. And all of us do. It's just real common.
Yeah. I think is it fair to say that it would be rare that a business owner doesn't hit the wall at some point?
It would be rare. Yes.
Yeah.
To answer your question properly. Yes, it would be rare. I think we all do it. And there's another thing that we all incur, and that is analysis paralysis. Every business owner gets analysis paralysis at some point in time, whether it's, do I move out of my office, my home office, into a brick and mortar office? Do I get a PO box, or do I not? Even the simplest things can cause us to get all caught up in our brain going, should I do it? Should I not do it? And it's difficult because no decision is a decision. We're full of platitudes today, but no decision is a decision, right?
True.
So Dan, my husband, he very much is somebody who has to do a lot of analysis before he takes any action. I'm like, I get an idea, I'm going to go implement it. Boop, boop, done. I just do it. And like I said, if it's the wrong dupe, I change, I go, what do I learn from this? How do I fix it and move on? What's on the back of your hand? Did you go to the strip club last night? What is that?
No, it's an injury, pickleball injury.
Oh, okay. It looks like a stamp, like you went to a club.
Oh, sorry. No, it's.
Oh, I see. Okay.
It's a scab.
You're getting old. You're getting those blue spots.
It's from slamming into the fence.
Oh, wow. I suppose you didn't even stop, right? You just kept on going.
Just kept going. You got to get the ball.
That's the same business, right? If you hit a wall, you just keep on going.
Well, now I know why dogs run into parked cars. They're going after the ball.
Oh, that was funny. He's like that, though. He has to really analyze things and think about the best way and how do I want to go about this. And it can take him forever to do something because of that. For me, it's like, I'm on it. I'm, got an idea, going to do it. Let's see how it works. Boom, done. And if it's the wrong thing, then we change it. We learn from it, move on. You have to be that way as a business owner. You cannot just sit there and let life pass you by.
Especially in the world we live in today. And, if we rolled this back 50 years ago, people would say the same thing. Things are moving so fast, you just can't afford to just sit on the sidelines and overanalyze it. Because here's something I believe is to be true, is there is no unique thought. Meaning, if I have this idea, like in the last show, we're talking about this AI stuff I'm done, and I've not seen anybody do it. I'm not the only one. Somebody else out there has probably done. We just haven't met.
Right.
So if it's like that's the opportunity. I think they call it strike while the iron is hot. Like take advantage of that. That's a uniqueness. Go, but there is no unique thought. And we've all had this where you've had an idea and you didn't think about it. And then 6 months later, you turn on the TV and there's that dadgum invention. And it's selling for $19.95 on Ronco. And you're like, God, that was my idea.
Right.
Because I don't think there's any unique thought. I think it's out there.
Well, look at sitcoms. The stories are all the same all the way back to I Love Lucy.
Yeah.
All the stories are the same. She's a classic, but I mean, you look at Friends or Three's Company or MASH or, any of the great Big Bang Theory, there's a common thing. The same stories are told over and over again with different people in different settings. That's all it is. Yeah. Even the movies have trouble with unique thoughts. They're coming up with a lot of remakes and, the same stuff over, which is new for a brand new generation. But for us, it's like, oh, yeah, you get that story again. It's like. Well,
I give you an example. First of all, designing stories, because we do videos and articles, things that there is a success pattern that you follow, that how you build that. And if you don't do that, then the chances of your movie or your story being successful is pretty low. And if you're trying to sell to a big, let's say, movie house or whatever, like, MGM, if you don't have that pattern, you're probably not going to be picked up because they've already said that doesn't work. It's like trying to say, well, let's use this key to open this lock. Sorry, we already know that key won't open up the lock. And there's you've heard of Hallmark, the Hallmark Channel.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they have a pattern at 1:50, like 50 minutes into the show. You know exactly what's going to happen. Like there is that pattern. My wife and millions of people around the world love Hallmark movies because they can depend on it. They know it's going to give them this good feeling at the end, right? That's a pattern, but they have a success that works. And we're way off track here. I apologize, Leslie. It's like we're talking about hitting that wall.
It's the same with business, though, right? It's the same with business.
Lather, rinse, repeat.
Yeah, I was thinking when you were talking about that, and in the last podcast we were talking about, I thought about hamburger restaurants because McDonald's, Wendy's, and Carl's Jr., for example, all are successful, right? It's rare that one of those doesn't succeed.
Right.
Why? Why, no matter where you go, why does a cheeseburger at McDonald's taste like a cheeseburger at McDonald's wherever you are in the world? It tastes exactly the same. Yeah. And that's because it has a formula. They have a recipe. They have procedures on how they make their fries, their burgers. Everything is prescribed. So does Carl's Jr. So does Wendy's. When they say have it your way, only to a certain extent. That means you can put whatever condiments on it you want. It does not mean that the burger changes.
That's right.
Right? And so it's the same in our businesses. When we create a business, I'm going to stick with service because it's what I know these days, but it doesn't matter if you're making widgets. If you're doing service and you decide what you're going to offer in service, then you need to have a prescribed formula for it. Okay. And then that will help you make sure that you have consistency all the time. And you won't have to think about what do I do today and what do I need to do. That doesn't mean you can't be creative and add stuff. We let our clients take us in all different directions the first 10 or 15 years, right? Because I had started out with one idea of what I was going to do with Executive Errands, and it turned into this whole other bigger thing. Primarily because we take care of people and they wanted us to do all kinds of tasks. So we said yes to all kinds of tasks, and that caused our business to evolve. But some companies don't have that luxury. They need to stick very strict onto what their formula is. I would think yours is like that, right? That you have digital marketing is digital marketing. Yes, you have tools. Yes, you can use AI. Yes, you can do creative stuff that is unique to each individual company, but the process is the same.
Yep. Yep.
Right.
It is.
For me, my process for taking care of my follow the wall process is the same. The options the service offerings that we have is pretty much unlimited. I always say we don't do babysitting, we don't do convalescent care because I don't do anything with diapers. That's the rule. On either end of the spectrum, I don't do diapers. So it's easier to say what I don't do than what I do because I do in diapers. That was funny. So, because we allow our clients to take us in different directions. But if you're making a widget, a screw, a piece of hardware, and that needs to be to a specification for that piece of hardware every single time, because you need the repetition and the consistency of that screw because people are depending on it.
That's it.
Right? If it's a 3/4 bolt with a 5, whatever that is, the hardness of it is a 5, that's the extra strongest bolt you can get, right? So grade 8 and grade 5. I think grade 8 is the hardest one. But anyway, one of those is the hardest one. I'm out of my hardware depth right this minute. I used to know this stuff backwards and forwards. If that's what you're buying, you need to know, is it grade 8? Is it grade 5? Is it no grade? Because if you're going to put that bolt into something that's holding up something serious, you don't want it to fall down. Right. So when you're building a business, you need to know what you do and how you're going to do it. And you've got up there on the screen redefining what winning actually looks like. Is that the same in your mind as success?
Well, I think it's as an example. If we say, hey, what success looks like is having X number of dollars in the bank. Well, maybe it's one of those things that said success looks like this. Success looks like having, let's say, this number of employees, and it has this many customers, and I'm volunteering or supporting these local charities, and maybe I'm a sponsor of my kids, baseball team. That may be what we need to do. Is we say, okay, those are all the things, but maybe we need to redefine that and say it is about coming home every day at 5 o'clock. And for the first hour and a half when I get home, I'm with my family. Now I still might have work, and I'll after dinner, out of the hour and a half, I can pick up my phone and follow up on things. But it's just maybe redefining what winning looks like, because I think sometimes, especially in the world we live in now, Leslie, where winning looks so easy online. I'm just looking at YouTube right now, and every headline is make $1 million, $200,000 a month, blah blah blah, and I'm like, they make it seem so easy, and it ain't. And so that could be that resistance where you're going, man, this is harder than I thought. It's not what I was expecting, because I've been doing this now for 16 years, and I read about somebody. In fact, there's a program I'm going to be involved in here in about 20 minutes that it's like, this guy has barely started and he's making more money a month than my company after 16 years. How? Why?
Yeah, I have those questions too.
Yeah.
What am I doing wrong?
Yeah.
How do you define success, Jeff?
For me, truly, how I define success is having the time and the money to do anything I want for as long as I want.
It's pretty good. I always say, for me, it's being able to walk away from my business and it still runs. I think that's really important, because that tells me I have the systems and the procedures in place and the training in place so that people can operate the way I want them to operate. and I don't have to worry every minute that something is I'm going to have to do damage control.
Yeah.
Because that's another stressor, right?
Well, you've certainly done that.
Yeah, I have, and I'm proud of that fact. But it took me a long time to get to that. I used to think it was how much money was in the bank or how many clients I had, and there's still days where I think about that. But for me, really and truly, it's to me, it's freedom when you can walk away and it still operates. And I ask this question in every 5-day challenge, and it's interesting the answers I get. Almost all of them are money related.
Yeah.
So that I can make X amount of dollars, or so that I have X amount of dollars in the bank, or so that it is almost never so I can have the operational independence to walk away. And I think that's so important because as we were trying to talk about in this episode is that business owners build themselves a cage. Even when they have employees, they build themselves a cage. They become the bottleneck. They try to control every single tiny little detail, and they get wore out, and then you lay in bed at night and you go, why the hell am I doing this? Only I put a bigger expletive in there, but why am I doing this? Why am I putting myself through this to do this? I could easily get a job. Now I can't because I'm too damn old. I'm aged out of the job market. But you know what I'm saying is that, I hear it all the time from 40 to 50-year-olds all the time. Why am I doing this? Why am I putting myself through this? And the way to help them the most is help them find what triggered them and ignited the enthusiasm to do it in the first place.
Yeah.
Right? Do you still I know you get excited about AI, but other than AI, do you still get excited over the numbers when somebody's social media is working, or when Cosmo is a hit like he is? I mean, does that still get you
100%.
excited? Yeah.
Oh yeah, 100%. I love that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want to do anything for mediocre results.
Nobody does. But they don't
well,
always
but
know
there,
what mediocre is.
but there are people out there that I'll give you an example. We went to a restaurant the other night, and the service and the food were mediocre, and that seemed to make them feel okay.
But maybe it didn't. It was just your perception of it.
But they've been in business for 14 months, and this is how they do it. I mean,
They won't last.
Well, yeah, I don't know, but it's one of those things that's like, I want it to do well. I don't want it to just fill a void to say, yeah, I can click off and say, yep, I posted for you today. No, I want to post and do well, right?
Yeah.
Because it takes just as much effort to do a mediocre job as it does to do a great job. And I'd rather be remembered.
That is exactly correct. And every business owner would do well to put that on the wall. Yeah. Put a note on the wall that says just as easy to do an outstanding job as it is to do a mediocre job.
And now it's just a choice.
Yeah. Well, it's either apathy or it's a choice, which I guess apathy is a choice. Right?
Yeah. I mean, you're going to attract customers, quite frankly, that are also mediocre. I believe that they're satisfied with that. And is that a better customer or worse? I don't know. I mean, like, you work with very successful people in your world, and I think they probably are, and I mean this sincerely, they're probably like you. They're very demanding, and they expect things to be done correctly. So I think you're a very good marriage to that. And if some of these people who maybe they've worked for you over the years, they said, I can do this on my own, and they try to go out and do it, and they don't carry I'm going to call it the Leslie gene, they're no longer around. They're probably an employee for somebody somewhere, because they realize, crap, they're probably these people we're talking about, crap, this was really hard. This is not the success I was expecting. This is really hard. They realized the structure that you've built, the business you built, is really what made it work.
Oh, you're talking about people that are trying to do what we do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That have worked for you and said, this is easy. I'll go do it myself. And then they get out there on their own. They're going, holy crap. They just didn't realize how good they had it or how hard you've worked to make it a system, right?
Just building the brand and the reputation is a chore all by itself, right? That especially where we live, right?
Yeah.
Because desert, for those of you that are listening that don't know, Jeff knows, we have 8 cities basically across the breadth of our space here, and it's surrounded by sand, right? So it's just surrounded by sand, 8 cities in the desert with sand around it.
There's a few
And
mountains.
well, we have some mountains too, but close by it's all sand. And because of that, and because it's a resort area, it's Palm Springs and all that, Coachella and all the things that come with that. People think that you can come here and be successful really easily. It's captive audience. I can bring my business out here, and some of them don't have any quality, or their response times are bad, or whatever. And they think, well, and there's still some of them are still successful anyway, because people don't know any better. Not all of them, but a lot of people don't know any better. They say, oh, well, it's like when I go to Mexico, it's on Mexico time. I just expect them to be late all the time because they always are, right? So same with out here. It's like, oh, it's resort. Everybody's laid back. They'll call me back eventually. One of the reasons I think my company is successful is because we don't treat it like that. We have always done quick responses, and we show up when we say we will, and we do what we promise. I believe in under promising, over delivery. And I teach all my people that, and my vendors. So it sets us apart because it's different. But if you are working somewhere else, you might have other challenges. We get a lot of people come in here with low cost, no insurance, no license, trying to compete. And some people don't care. Some consumers, they like, whatever, I don't care. And they should. They really should care.
Yeah.
So I forgot where I was going with this, but if you believe in doing a good job, there will always be clients for you as long as you continue to do that.
Yeah. I think just a couple things that I want to say before we wrap up, very short. First of all, I think if you're recognizing that, hey, this isn't the fun I signed up for, is try to add the layers that allow you to go back and do the fun parts that you like. And then if you don't, even if you're saying, well, I got to the point I don't like any of them, then I think you have to redefine what winning looks like.
That's a good point.
And reframe that so that when you go to work, you look at it differently. You don't look at it as like, oh, here it is again, John, my manager, and I hate being whatever, right? Reframe it, and then put yourself back in a situation where you are doing the things you love, whatever that is. So those are the 2 things I want you to consider taking away. Those are a couple things that I've done in my life over the time in my business to say, I'm going to, like, outside of business. I work for a very large group of golf courses. I was in the golf industry for 40 years. And I had a very prestigious job at a very high-end country club in the Coachella Valley for 11 years as the head professional. And when something happened, it took the fun out of that job. And I said, wait a second, this is what I want to do. This is what I will have joy doing. And I left that job and I went and did that. And I found that joy and passion for the golf industry again. It wasn't easy. It was like not quite as severe as Leslie walking away from 150 grand a year. But the point is find your love and do that, and try to layer in people who can do the other stuff that you don't enjoy doing, like her with the bookkeeping, and then redefine what it looks like. It may not be money. It may be time. It may be the opportunity to do this because you're exposed to this group of people. So with that's my 2 cents.
I want to give my 2 cents at the end here.
Of course.
Of course. What do you mean, of course?
I mean, of course, yes, of course.
That's not what he meant. So,
of course it was.
What I'm going to add, horse is a horse, of course, unless his name is Mr. Ed. Anyway, none of our watchers are that old to remember that. So
I was looking up who's Mr. Ed.
So here's the thing that's the truth about business. If you learn nothing else, learn this. Running a business, it can be quite mundane. It is the same, quite often it's the same thing. And what you have to learn to do is put one foot in front of the other every single day. every week, every month, every year. That is what's required to be successful in business, to keep moving forward, work toward your goals and keep moving forward. All the other stuff that we talk about is a part of that, right? Jeff is correct in what he says about redefining winning. If you aren't happy, having your own business should be a joy. That's not that it's not hard work, but it should be fulfilling to you in some way. Right? I love my independence. Not having to go to the same place every day and clock in is a great joy of my life. But I know that I have to keep putting one foot in front of the other every single day so that I can keep doing things that grow my business and bring in money and clients and success and all that stuff. So just know that it is quite often routine, but it is so rewarding to build something of your own. It's kind of like having a kid and watching them hit 18 and they still are alive. You know, you've raised them up and they live through all of your parenting. So that's a big deal. It's the same with the business. I can't believe I've been doing mine for 20 years. I mean, I've never done anything for 20 years. So I've moved 28 times. I can't stay in one place. So to still be doing this 20 years later is quite amazing to me.
And with that, we want to say, hey, thank you for joining us for another episode of Twisted, Bent, and Exhausted Entrepreneur Podcast. Do us a favor, leave your comments. What does that look like for you when it comes to business? Are you successful? Is it the way you wanted it? Let us know. If you are in that position and you're saying, yeah, it's not what I signed up for. What two things? What would you have to do to reframe it and then also put the layer in to go back and do what you love to do? So with that, I'm going to say adios, muchacho.
Talk to you next time.
Bye, guys.
Bye.